thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Uh, so Mary Franco and I have known each other for a very long time. She is a colleague, a former client, and a friend. And she's speaking to us today from Woodstock, Vermont, which probably is a nice respite for you.
It's great to be here with you, George.
Yeah. So by way of some introduction, Mary had a career that was both in the corporate world and the nonprofit world. She was vice president of corporate citizenship at General Electric. She was president of the Norwalk Hospital Foundation, and that's where Mary and I worked together for a few years on a successful $30 million campaign. I think it was 30. Maybe
What?
It was.
We did it.
Yeah, had a brief stint at Cape Cod Hospital, and then was executive director and vice president of White Plains Medical Center. I guess is that, yeah.
White Plains Healthcare. White Plains Healthcare, but I was executive director of the foundation.
Right. And then most recently, Mary has done some work with our firm. We had the opportunity for the first time in 41 years to work directly with a foundation that gives away money. So we had a project with the Sanzari Foundation in Bergen County, New Jersey, and Mary worked with the family members, which was, I guess, fun for you. They were great people.
Very fun, a wonderful group of women that I had the opportunity to work with.
Yeah. You were the perfect individual to work there. Thank you for your service to them. As we have done with every one of our executive chats, we start off with taking temperature. So in this COVID-19 world where we are supposed to be taking our temperature, we're doing it now on a personal level, on an emotional level, on a business level. So how are you doing, Mary?
We're doing quite well given the circumstances. We're fortunate that we have this great home in Woodstock as well as our home in New Canaan. So we're able to go back and forth a little bit. We've had relatives who have had the disease, a niece and a nephew and a sister-in-law. We lost a really good friend to the disease, and that was very sad for us. And it's difficult. I take care of some elderly folks in Florida, and it's difficult. I can't be there to hold their hands and help them get through this. But fortunately, Mike and I like each other an awful lot. So my husband, Mike, and I. So we've enjoyed, to some extent, being together. We love to cook and drink great wine anyway, and we've veered off into some new cooking directions. But we've been vigilant about not breaking the rules in terms of social distancing. We've stayed in. We haven't gone out at all. But it's been nice. We've cleaned the attic, cleaned the garage, done all those things that everybody else has done. Our garden looks spectacular this year. Yeah,
that's good. That's terrific. You were terrific, I thought, at transitioning from an active, robust executive life, both in corporate and in nonprofit, to now different board memberships. Yeah, I guess you serve on one corporate board, and you serve on I know Merrimack College. You're vice chair of the board.
Yes.
And what other boards are you involved with?
So I serve on the board. My corporate board is First County Bank, a terrific bank located in southwestern Connecticut. Great experience for me. Finance is not my background. I'm there as a community member. Terrific board, terrific leadership team. And they've really come together through this. That we were always a great board. I mean, I love my colleagues on the board and I love the leadership team. But imagine being an essential service here. The chairman of the bank got the disease, was hospitalized, recovered. Extraordinary. And fortunately, we focus a lot on succession planning. And fortunately, it worked. His team came together, ran the bank while he was out. He never, or not for a long span of time, left things. But boy, what a great leadership team. It's been great to see that team step up, step back, step in, change the way they do business and really keep the board informed. Our executive committee meetings, which we serve on a certain number of months a year, became all board members, all hands on deck. And we were kept so well informed through all of this, are still kept well informed. It's been an extraordinary experience. I am vice chairman of Merrimack College, my alma mater, which I love. I met my husband there and the love of my life, and we're very connected to the college. I also chaired the advancement committee, and now I chair the mission and curriculum committee. Chris Hopi, who has been president up there for about 10 years, has done an extraordinary job bringing Merrimack way up. It's been like a hockey stick since he's arrived, and he's really put Merrimack College on the map. It's a great school, about 5,000 students. He, again, has kept us all informed, made the executive committee meetings all inclusive. You know, they're impacted in so many ways, had to let the kids go home and remote learning. He's committed to reopening in the fall at this point. There'll be, I'm sure, some combination of remote learning or distance learning and classroom learning. But Chris Hopi is just an extraordinary leader. I think his leadership has helped us feel comfortable in this COVID transition. And he's so forward thinking that fortunately the college was prepared to take on a crisis like this. He's always gotten us through, you know, crises. It's located in North Andover, Mass, and we had the power outage a couple years ago. He's just done an extraordinary job keeping the board involved and engaged. It's taken more of our time. Both these boards have taken more time in recent months, obviously, but really, really good experiences. I don't have any worries at all about either one of them. The third board that I serve on, and I'm a new board member, is an organization called Wavy Healthcare. So as you can imagine, they provide healthcare services for seniors in our community, both home health care, rehab, dementia services, skilled nursing facility. So they're in the heart and soul of this COVID crisis, lost revenues and all the challenges that healthcare workers are facing. And that board also has come together. I can't say that I knew what they were like before, but they've done a great job in keeping us connected and on board. And we're working now on, they asked me to help with a special COVID campaign that we're working on right now. So it's extraordinary times that we're in, but these boards have all done a great job. These leaders have done a great job in keeping the boards informed and engaged.
How has fundraising been altered at Merrimack? I'm curious about that.
Well, so Chris Hopi again, we just finished a capital campaign at Merrimack, which was a tremendous success.
Right.
And so we're sort of at the tail end of that, looking at what happens next. Merrimack has done some, Chris is very devoted to the Augustinian mission at Merrimack and has started a fund to help the kids who really need help. The kids, Merrimack is a school that helps good kids become great. And a lot of these kids are first generation college attendees, and they come from humble means. And he started a fund to help these kids who now no longer have summer jobs, don't have their second jobs, or don't have their jobs during school. Lots of hardship there. And he's just got such a big heart and soul. He started this fund, and it's been enormously helpful. It doesn't help Merrimack's bottom line. It's an emergency fund for these kids, but it's helping the kids. And that's sort of his heart and soul, is with the kids and the faculty and the institution. Fundraising across the board has been steady, has not declined, at least in the last I knew. And there are people who are stepping up to make gifts to help Merrimack weather the storm. I just, one little anecdote. This is who this guy is as a president. He and his wife got in the Merrimack food truck and went and delivered diplomas to the kids who live local to Merrimack.
For graduation.
For graduation, hand delivered their diplomas, gowned up. It was just, there's a little video. It was just incredible to see this is how committed he is to his students. Just a really great story.
This is kind of a mundane question, just out of curiosity. How big was their capital campaign? Do you know what they ended up raising?
Yeah, I think we raised 60 million.
That's great for them. That's a nice,
Great.
that's a nice victory. When the fund you were talking about at Merrimack, was that to support the students?
Yes.
So students that needed actual financial assistance.
Yeah, some of these kids work and support their families while they go to college. So Merrimack has a program called, I forget what it's called. It helps inner city kids from Lawrence come to Merrimack. They come their senior year and then they continue, they live on campus, but some of them work to support their families. It's a full boat scholarship, room and board for these kids. And so
What was it? A kind of a strategic major gift effort that he launched to fund that?
just a general fundraising campaign.
General fundraising campaign.
We reached out to all the board members and asked us to all pitch in as well.
Yeah, one of the things that it's always impressed me about you. So a lot of the time that we had together at Norwalk, we would work with board members and other key individuals in the community. And the term I'm going to use is an equal footing. You had the capacity to stay in the lane as the the chief advancement person for the hospital, but at the same time, when you were with these very prominent, very successful individuals, I always got the sense that you were on an equal footing with them. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because I think I've also observed other chief advancement officers, which, and I don't mean this as a criticism. Everybody has to have their own style of accomplishing what they accomplish, but they would play a bit subservient to that person. I don't know. I guess what works best is what is going to work best for that person. But it's also, I think, prominent, successful people like to have in-depth conversations with people that they consider to be peers. And I remember that being with you and liking the dynamic. Was that conscious, or was it is that just Mary being Mary?
Well, I never heard that before, so I guess it was Mary being Mary. But I have to tell you, I am so fortunate that I have loved, for the most part, every job I've ever had. I loved working at Norwalk Hospital. I absolutely love healthcare. I love being able to help sick people, and I think that in advancement, you have to either, I had Norwalk blue blood running through me. It was my hospital in my community. I love healthcare. For good, bad, or ugly, lost parents when I was young. I lost two brothers. They all had different healthcare issues. I am fascinated with healthcare. I love helping people. I think as an advancement officer, you have to love your cause. If you don't love your cause, you're not inside it. And maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's that it was my community. I lived in the community and I felt connected to the people that I was talking to. You may be a donor, you may be a friend, you may be both. You may be somebody I don't know, but we could have a conversation about any number of things. I think the mix of also, in my case, the nonprofit work and the for-profit work probably helped me. My 10 years at GE Capital probably gave me some experience and background in talking to all different kinds of people. And I loved that experience, loved every minute of it. So I think you have to love your work.
So it's interesting because listening to you describe it, you and Mike, you and your husband, are both pretty well-known people in your community. So people knew you, and so you knew a lot of these people as friends, as people in town or people in the area. So I think that also played into your ability to deal with them on equal footing, which was great.
I think you're right, but I look at my time at White Plains Hospital also, which is outside my sort of normal community. But I believed in the cause. It's a great hospital, great programs. I never had a qualm asking somebody to get involved with the institution because I believed in the good quality health care that they were providing, and if you can't have a great community hospital, do you really have a great community?
Right.
So I think some of it's home based, some of it's belief in the cause, some of it's maybe being able to speak the acumen. You know, in Westchester County, there are a lot of financial guys. You know, I'm clearly not an MBA with finance in my background, but I have a little bit of knowledge, you know, so could maybe be a little bit in the game.
Well,
Never tried to meet or master anybody else's skills.
So Mary, pivot for you for a second, because you've done a little bit of consulting with our firm, and hopefully that might even grow. But you've also done some individual things on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Can you compare and contrast the work between being on staff, and being in a leadership position on staff versus providing counsel?
So sort of being full-time in
the
hospital or in
right,
GE,
right.
So I guess there's a huge difference. My time is my own. You have to learn to manage your own time once you stop working full-time for
Right.
I was at a point in my life where I wanted to conscientiously make a transition. I tend to be a workaholic, and I was trying to get out of being that person and spending more time doing the things I love. And so working on projects has been really interesting for me. The opportunity to work on a project for you with a foundation that was launching was just the Sanzari family. They're just salt of the earth people. It was just really rewarding. And it was interesting. It was all my time. I had to manage it. I managed the group. I managed the dialogue and the project. And we just connected very well. So it was just a real pleasure. We finished early, but we got all the work done.
Yeah.
But it was just joyful to me. And I'm working on a project with a group working on a CSR project, a corporate social responsibility project. And that's really fun because it's, you know, they called and asked if I would do this. And I said, sure, it's, you know, in my wheelhouse from GE, and it's a really exciting thing to be working on. So, but it's my time and I have to manage it. But I love being able to clean out the attic and work on my project at midnight if I want. Or 7 o'clock in the morning, or whenever I want. So I kind of love it.
You were very complimentary towards Chris Hopi and the work that he did, that he continues to do at Merrimack College. As you observe your fellow board members there, did you notice that different individuals stepped up in a different way?
So that's an interesting question. Again, you know, sounds like the Chris Hopi show, but he's done a phenomenal job in creating a board that is very cohesive, works together well. He is so careful about who he brings on the board. It's his best quality that he has created this very cohesive board. So one of the things that he did do was, we decided this year, he asked the leadership of the board and the governance committee, and we decided not to bring on any new board once COVID hit, not to follow our regular cycle in bringing new board members on. We had a few in the pipeline. We decided that things were so, you know, different and challenging, it wouldn't be a good time to bring a new board member on in the midst of a crisis. So we decided to put that off till the end of the year, January or next year. And I thought that that was a great idea and a good decision. Our chair's term would have ended. We're going to keep him on. We're going to keep the leadership team on, extending everybody's terms basically for a year. Thought that was another good decision for continuity. So everybody has stepped up and leaned in with ideas, with thoughts. Everybody is available has been available for emergency calls, you know, when this all started. Canceling events, we didn't cancel graduation, we postponed it. Chris came up with some different things to do to celebrate our graduates. He is on Zoom calls with students every day, probably 5 times a day. He'll Zoom with the band group, he'll Zoom with the math club, he'll Zoom with the seniors.
Wow.
He is just
Wow, that's impressive.
Extraordinary.
That's great. So Mary, as we wrap this up, again, I want to thank you for doing this. It was great
to talk to you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. What are you optimistic about?
Oh my gosh, so many things. You know, I think that there's a lot to be positive about. There's a lot of sadness and death and people being sick and a lot of worry. But I think if we all pay attention, it will end eventually. We probably will have a spike in the fall, but I think it will end sometime next year when testing is available and so forth, vaccines are available. But I think hopefully most families have become closer. I think a lot of women and men at home helping their kids get through school probably have a great new appreciation for teachers. I think that there's a new understanding of healthcare workers and how essential they are. This, you know, Wavy Healthcare Center that I'm on the board of, they help seniors. A lot of them have died. People have no idea how complex care is to take care of seniors who just have so many comorbidities. It's just very challenging. So I'm hopeful that people will come out of this with a new appreciation for each other, to care for each other, the people that are doing all these random acts of kindness, helping seniors in their homes, helping, you know, I have a relative who has cancer, one who has brain tumors, people are helping deliver stuff to them. I just think that I hope that this kindness lasts and this caring spirit lasts. You know, and let's face it, it's healthcare, it's the economy, and it's what's happening to people socially, their mental health issues. I hope that socially we come out of this closer. I've reconnected with a whole bunch of old friends. I have Zoom chats every week with my college sisters and with my New Canaan friends and my Shorehaven golf friends. And we're all having fun talking to each other and sharing stories. And I just hope it brings people closer and to have a greater appreciation for our people that work in the grocery store and in the hardware store and in healthcare, the challenges of education. I think education is going to change forever. And all for the good. I think that we were on the very edge of the technology revolution. I think it's here, and technology is going to change things exponentially in the next few years. And I think it's all good. It's progress. This is going to be, Mike and I keep saying to each other, this is a year in our lives. Think about our parents who, you know, my father was in World War II. Think about them dropping out of school to go to war. And think about the people who lived through polio. And think about the people who lived through the last pandemic. We're resilient, and we have to pull up everything we can to be as resilient as possible and as hopeful as possible to think of all the positives that we can get when this is over.
Yeah, a number of things that you just spoke about touched me. One thing is that, as you may remember, my mom's 100, and we celebrated her birthday virtually on April 4th.
Yeah.
And we had a very big Zoom call. So not being with her
Yeah.
for her 100th birthday was tough.
Yeah.
You know, but she was a champ about it. She really was. She's in an independent living facility. She has her own apartment, but has support.
George, you've heard about my Aunt Connie and Uncle Will over time. They're 90.
Is that the one who called the other
Yeah.
day when we were on it?
Yes. So he got sick at the end of last year, just as we were moving them into assisted living.
Yeah.
Then COVID came along. He went from the hospital to rehab, and then from rehab back to the hospital, and then from the hospital home in hospice. And COVID had just hit. So he comes home in hospice, and she sits with him for 3 weeks by his side, and he passed away peacefully. Very old, had a beautiful, wonderful life. It was sad that he died, but he really had a wonderful, wonderful life, and we'll celebrate it when everybody comes out again. But poor auntie, a week and a half later, falls and breaks her hip, and now she's in rehab, and I can't be with her to hold her hand. So I talk to her a couple times a day. She's a pip. She's just committed to getting back to Allegra, where she's in assisted living, and I'm loving that I have this time now to spend with her and help her. And it really brings home how these seniors are so vulnerable, and all the good that people are doing for them. I can't even begin to tell you all the wonderful stories of the coming out. I send an email every couple of days to FOC, Friends of Connie, to update everybody on what she's doing, and they're all sending her cards, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. The hope and the good feeling that comes out of some of this is just extraordinary.
It's great. Great, great. Well, Mary, again.
Lemonade out of lemons. Got to make
Exactly. Right. So thank you, my dear. Great being with you, and look forward to connecting with you sometime in the future in person.
Me too.
All right. You take care. Bye.
Bye.